rising stars in the NBA. And I want to know who you think is going to be the leading vote getter heading into All-Star break. Is it going to be the usual suspects of Durant, LeBron, Giannis? Or do you think, somebody like Trae Young, who gained a lot of steam, you know, during the Atlanta Hawks playoff run, and even in the offseason, I know I'm going to bring this up because I'm a pro wrestling fan. SmackDown's going to be in Atlanta, like I think it's New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I mean, he's getting a lot of like attention outside of the basketball court that makes him more popular to like casual fans that don't normally care about the NBA. So I guess my question is, do you see anybody just being a surprise vote getter that, is out of those, top juggernaut players? Alan, I'll start with you.
I think the top vote getters are going to be the usual. LeBron's coming off a Space Jam. He's more popular than ever.
Yeah.
He'll be the West guy, and I think Giannis will be the East guy. His fan base is huge. I think outside of Houston, people really love him. So the usual suspects.
Side note, what did you think of Space Jam 2? Yay or nay?
I thought the kids loved it, and that's all I can say. The first one's not a good movie either.
No, stop.
And I know I was older for that anyway, but it's not great. But the kids liked it, and there were a couple of moments I almost chuckled.
Cool intro. I like the intro of the movie, just like the first one. There's like a highlight reel of LeBron. So if you want a great highlight video, if for LeBron fans out there, but the movie, yeah,
my kids loved it too. So
okay. There you go, all for the kids.
My thought was this was the best script they could come up with. Like, you don't expect it to be a terribly rational movie or like, be real or there's liberties in movies like that, but that story was terrible. But the kids are happy, so.
Yeah, evil Don Cheadle. And I didn't understand for a movie that had all the WB characters why they look so fake. Like, you have the real characters. Like, put the real people in there. It's just like they're in that final scene. But anyway, Josh, what do you expect in terms of the All-Star break, in terms of who you think could be the All-Star getter? Do you see any like dark horse candidates being like a huge surprise in getting the amount of votes, or do you think this could be LeBron and Durant and Giannis?
I think Giannis. I mean, he's got the worldwide appeal, and the NBA has definitely been trying to grow their worldwide appeal for 10, 15 years. And I feel like his stardom has probably only grown worldwide. So that would be my guess, that he could really dominate since he got a title and crushed and was unstoppable. Dark horse, my thought would have been Trae. He just seems likable, plays hard. Everyone seems to just be growing.
I would guess, given the Olympic performance, given the momentum of a heroic playoff run, even though it didn't end in a title, I'm going to guess that KD is the leading vote getter. And also, this is going to be, in spite of them being maybe a hated team by some, I think this is going to be a year of Nets dominance. And he's also going to have the spotlight on him a lot more. Should Kyrie be missing from these games, he's going to get credit built in for that, that guys on like villain teams having had that lane to get that credit before. So I would guess KD. I mean, I know he's one of the usual suspects. I like the dark horse pick of Trae Young. I also think Luka just continues to build his profile too on the West. So it would be a little bit surprising if he passed LeBron for me, but I could see it within the realm of possibility depending on how he's looking. And I'll go ahead and go right into our next question. I want to know your guys' thoughts on what team coming into the season is most likely to make a leap this year. So just a much better performance than they did last year. You can take that wherever you want to go, as far as like playoff run, as far as regular season record, whatever your thoughts are on that. Josh, let's start with you. What team's going to make a leap this year?
I think the Bulls.
Stole my pick.
I got your back, Justin. I know they're your team. Ball's been better than people realize throughout the years, kind of overshadowed from the family drama. DeRozan, Caruso, Levine, Patrick Williams was a great pick last year. It seems like they're building a team, and not necessarily megastars, but yeah, my hunch is they seem like they're kind of intentional in how they're putting it together. So
yeah, I dig it. They were 31-41 last year, and you'd have to imagine they're at least going to have a winning record, if not push towards maybe getting close to the range of home court advantage. Alan, what do you have for us?
I mean, I hope the Bulls, because I like the talent. I just don't trust Billy Donovan as a coach. So and he might be an early candidate to get fired, one that we didn't talk about. If they're underperforming by Christmas. Now mine is a really dark horse. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves. And
interesting.
I say that because I believe in Chris Finch. I actually think he's a really good coach. He was the Rio Grande Valley Vipers championship coach. He was the assistant who designed the offense under Mikal. You know, those Mikal Harden teams that performed really well were nothing to do with Kevin McHale. There was a defense from Kelvin Sampson, which, you know, that's why the Houston Cougars are dominant now. And then the offense was Chris Finch. And I think, and I think moving Rosas out, and I think they've retained Gupta. I think Gupta is you know, if you talk like GMs, I think he's a potential generational talent in GMs. I think he'll be a guy that 5 years from now you'll be talking about as like one of the best GMs in the game. I know he's just interim right now, but I know Houston offered him a lot of money in a promotion to come to them, which set off this whole nonsense in Minnesota. So they have some things to do, but I like the Rubio's still there, right? So it's Rubio and Beverly. I like the veteran leadership. I think they'll help Anthony Edwards actually know how to be a pro.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of their young big guys. So I feel, I don't know if they're going to make the play-in, but I think they'll be better than they were last year, and I think they'll be in an upward trajectory, which will be really cool because they had no draft picks that went to Minnesota, went to Golden State. So
yeah,
so yeah.
What do you think about Karl Anthony Towns? It's kind of like, I kind of see it going either way in terms of him being like a superstar player, and then we see some regression. Like, what is his kind of tolerance there? Do you see it kind of mimicking kind of a Kevin Garnett situation in which he's just going to be impatient and just want outs? Like, where do you see his trajectory with that franchise?
He's kind of the X factor for me because I want to like him because I think he, as a player, he's likable. I think he does a lot of good things, but there's something in how he handles himself and his demeanor. And part of it, I'm probably biased from that Reddit AMA ball boy guy who said he was a complete asshole to like the ball boys and everybody. That rubs me wrong. Like, you know, I mean, Justin, when I used to interview people, I would go to Starbucks and see how they interacted with people just to see, you know, how do they interact with people they're not trying to impress. And because I think it's a good judge of character. And so I don't know how true all that was, but I would hopefully at some point he sees some growth, and I think there's a potential that he could. I mean, he's had such a rough year. I mean, losing a parent is one of the worst things that can happen outside of like losing a child, and I think you know, there's a maturity process that comes with growing up. He's still really young, and the talent is off the charts. If he puts it all together, I mean. There were some people saying, like, should Houston trade for Karl Anthony Towns with trade Christian Wood? And I'm like, hell yeah. Yeah, I would make that trade. And you know, I'd attach some draft picks to make that trade. Minnesota's not going to make that trade unless he asks out and asks, you know, but so, yeah, he's the linchpin for that. If he's not bought in, then they're not going to do very well. But if he's bought in on Chris Finch's side, then I think they'll be a lot better.
They're going to be a very interesting team to watch. To your point, Josh, real quick, I agree with you. My pick was Chicago. The thing is, I think defensively they're going to be terrible, but I think offensively they're going to be super entertaining. So I'm excited to see this in terms of just the continuity. I think it's going to be a much better team that way. And I think it'll get Levine to stay there. I know he's been expressing his unhappiness in terms of his contract negotiations, but overall, I just sense the vibe of the team just seems a lot more younger with DeMar DeRozan. there seems to be life there compared to other iterations of the Bulls, which seem to be very defensive heavy, very just slog, not the most exciting basketball to watch. Where this team seems completely different. So whether that means them, cracking the 7th seed, I don't know. But
I know you have very high standards for your team too. So for you to say that is something.
Real quick, I also had the Bulls as kind of my top pick. I kind of did this by like wins from last season compared to what might happen this season. But I also will give a plug. It might be the only one of these questions I can give a plug for the Rockets, in that they were 17-55 last year. So I do think there is going to be some sort of leap. They're so young that, I don't know that they'll get too much further than like 30 wins. Might be too hopeful. We'll see what happens, but that was kind of my West hopeful team. But I don't know. Alan kind of won me over on the Timberwolves with his excellent research there.
I like the Rockets. I think they're going to be much better after talking to Rushin, the other Matt Thomas, who's the radio play-by-play announcer for Houston. They really sold me on this team, man. I think they're going to surprise some people. Are they going to be in the play-in tournament? I don't know, but I think they're going to be surprisingly good.
Jalen Green, Rookie of the Year. Yeah. Let's call it now. Let's get going now. I hope so. That's pretty much what we're rooting for.